Hey, welcome to History Chats. Yeah, awesome. It's a little different today because we are taking a look at less of a program and more of just an update about History Chats and where we've been and where we're going. So I decided I threw together a presentation here to give you some background. I don't know why I thought it would be kind of interesting to frame it as like a State of the Union thing, but then that felt pretentious, so we're gonna skip past this. Just up top here, here's some updates about History Chats. Yeah, so I figured here's the main points. History Chats is going to go away for a while after June. We're going to continue through June, but starting in July, we're going to go on a bit of a hiatus, and it will be back. We will be bringing History Chats back at some point. It might be a month, it might be longer, we'll see, but it will probably be different. I think we've been, well, I'll get into the whys in a second, but, you know, yeah, it might change. In the meantime, while we're doing this, just as a bit of a call to action here, there's a couple things that you can do to help us with this process. Subscribe, follow us. This is one of those things where if you're watching on YouTube, for example, and you've just go to YouTube's page and it just pops up as, hey, here's the new one. If you're not actually subscribed, I don't know if we go away for a month or two, and you want to be able to catch up again when we come back. You know, hit the button, you know, and it also helps us from like an analytics perspective and marketing and stuff. But you know, even just from your perspective, I think this would be a good thing to do. So you should do that. And you know, of course, if you're watching on Facebook and you're not following us or liking the page, that will also do, I think, the same thing. I'm not entirely sure, but that's something you can do. The other big thing is I have a bit of a survey that I have put together. There's a link in the description, and we'll probably be sending that out and make it available elsewhere too. But you know, as we look at History Chats, we've been doing this for a while, and you know, it's maybe time to kind of consider how it can change and evolve. You know, we started this in a different situation. So in the meantime, you know, we still have 3 History Chats. We're going to finish out June. We've got 3 kind of concepts that we're going to still work together. So Gary is going to be doing next week along the riverbanks, the story of some of the stuff you would see along the Wisconsin riverbanks, which is maybe an area that we don't talk very much about. Also had this idea for some of the lesser known ethnic enclaves of Marathon County. So maybe we'll do a couple of little ones to kind of pull together a program for that. And yeah, I have a program that I've been kicking around about the Charleston, about the dance and the music that has a surprising connection to Marathon County that I'll put some together for later in June. So we still have some stuff coming up, but I wanted to give a bit of an update and an explanation about yeah, in July we're gonna take a hiatus. So why are we doing that? Well, I think this is our 190th video. And what that means, put the caveat there, that's in the playlist we have where I throw all of them, there's 190. I don't know if maybe this is, maybe missed some, I don't know. But 190, give or take, that's a lot. That years, we're coming up in September, it'll be 4 years. Yeah, it's a lot. And we've done a lot of stuff, right? We've done programs that range from, you know, big concepts to individual maps in our collection and everything in between. And it's been a lot of fun. I want to be clear, like this has been a great privilege and a joy to be able to do these over this time for you and to have an audience and all of that. But I mean, realistically, it is also a lot of work. And it's a lot of work. It's a different kind of work. Back in September of 2020, there's a lot less happening at the Historical Society. These days, there's a lot of other things that, you know, not to say that this is not worth our time doing, but it does get a little hectic. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take a hiatus. And while we're doing that, you know, I think we're going to, it's time to kind of confront finally the fact that History Chats has changed. Like I said, September of 2020 is a very different circumstance, right? Um, reason we were putting it together, what we thought it would be, the way that people were watching, we know very few people are watching live. You're probably not, statistically, you're not watching this as it's going out live at 12:30. So, is this something that we need to adjust for? Do we need to shift the timing of History Chats so that more people can join live? Or maybe we've moved past that. These concepts are things that we're going to have to kind of um, contend. And it's something that we've been kind of kicking around for a while of like, do we change? Do we make an attempt? And, it just feels like it's a good time to do that. Um, we're overdue. The History Chats of 2024 and 2025 going forward, what that needs to be representative of what we want it to be, right? When we started History Chats, I had kind of three big points in my mind. I wanted to continue to do them as long as three things were fair, right? As long as we had interesting, good, and compelling history that we could share. As long as we didn't run out of stories, hey, this seems like there are good things that we could do. As long as there's an audience, right? As long as people are willing to tune in and watch us, Gary and I, talk about history, that seems like we should continue doing it. And as long as Gary and I are enjoying doing the programs, if we have an important historical story and people are watching, but we really don't care, or we don't feel it's important, or that's going to come across. And I don't want to necessarily set us up to be committed to do something just because it is what it is. And to be clear, like none of these have changed. I think, even last week, right? I put together a program about the concept of the pavilion, specifically the first Rothschild pavilion, and it ticked all of these boxes. It was a really interesting and compelling story. I think there's an audience that people tuned in because it's an interesting story, and I enjoyed doing it. But also, the pause that we're taking, the hiatus and the reevaluation of History Chats isn't about, it's not doing what we need it to do. It's not doing these things, but it's more of, can we refocus the format to be better about doing these things, about telling those compelling stories? And maybe it's a different format. Maybe it's more of an edited video sort of series as opposed to a weekly PowerPoint presentation, if we can switch our timing, maybe we do it in the evening. Maybe then we get a better audience. Who knows? And if we can find something that is going to make it so that we, Gary and I, don't have the panic of doing one every week, or we can do them that it feels creatively fulfilling in an interesting way, I think that's something to explore as well. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Going forward, what are the plans? Like I said, History Chats will continue through June. We've got 3 programs lined up, and after that point, we'll take a break, right? In July, we're going to take some time off. Now, it might be longer than July. It might be a month. It might be longer. Part of the reason that we're doing this is to give us a little bit of a breather, so that we can kind of, not have to scramble to put one together, but also so that we can make these changes while not having to put one together, right? When it comes back, it's probably going to be a little different, and that's okay. And I should clarify, like this sort of program where I just throw up a PowerPoint and I do a program for a little bit, that might continue. It might be the exact same thing. And we might even doing it, July, we might just go live and feel inspired to share a story and do a one-off program. Like, I'm not going to say that that's going to happen, but it could. You never know. But the reality is we probably won't come back to this sort of 20 to 30-minute program every single week with a brand new history. It's a lot to do, and I think that we can, maybe we will, who knows? But I think that is kind of something that we want to explore. In the meantime, we can talk about how you can help us, because I think that this is relevant. Like I said, if you're watching on YouTube and you have an account and you're not subscribed, hey, click subscribe. That way you'll definitely know that we will, when we come back, it'll let you know. It won't forget that, hey, you used to watch these things. I think there's probably a similar thing on Facebook if you're just tuning in, and you're not following the Historical Society, you should do that. It also does genuinely help. I feel a little uncomfortable, like kind of shilling for that of, it feels hackneyed on YouTube to say, hey, like and subscribe, but it is genuinely something that's helpful. The greater the subscriber base, the more engagement that we have on our videos means that more people get to see it, and that never hurts. And then there is the survey. So I have put together the survey. It's quick, it's anonymous. I tried to make it as painless as possible. There's room for you to give us feedback if you have it, what you liked, what you didn't like, how you've been watching it, how you might want to watch. And I think we're going to take a good look at that sort of thing and decide, okay, how do we evolve this in the future? So those are the two big things that I would give the call to action here while we wait and take some time off. Also, of course, History Speaks is not going anywhere, right? And actually can show another reason that I'm maybe not excited about, well, not excited, but wouldn't mind a little bit of a break going forward is I'm putting together a program. I'm going to be the speaker for History Speaks this month. So I don't have the date on here, but that is going to be the last, I'll just pull up the date here. That'll be the Saturday, the 29th. So that's in a couple weeks. We're also in the process of putting together a new exhibit, which will be, becoming public. It'll be available for you to come in and see later this month. So that's exciting as well. So a lot of interesting things. And of course, we're going to continue to have, the other programming, story time at the gardens and, all sorts of other stuff that we normally do. Vintage game night, started getting ready for some of the programs later this year, like the cemetery tour. There's stuff coming up. So the Historical Society is not going away, but History Chats is going to maybe change a little bit. And I think, hopefully, that's something that people are I'm honestly kind of excited about it. I'm excited to sit down and figure out with Gary and other folks here and say, what do we really want this to be, and how can we make that happen? So in the meantime, appreciate the patience, your patience as our viewers. Again, always appreciate that you tune into us in the first place. It does mean a lot. And it's one of the big reasons that, we continue to do it. So thank you. And thank you for your time. It's a little shorter today, by my standards at least, but that is basically just wanted to give a little update, let you know in advance that this is happening, and give you the opportunity to tell us what you think. So it'd be much appreciated. Yeah, I feel like I should check, but it looks like everything was working. So I think that's all I really had for you today. Yeah, like I said, Gary will be back next week with another more traditional program, and we've got a couple in the works. And I hope you continue to tune in and join us for those. But in the meantime, yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time for some more History Chats.